About a year ago, I was actively following a player by the name of Wonder5193, a top-level Osimania player who at the time was dominating the game in a way no one had ever done before, but would go on to retire shortly in his career. He uploaded a few videos that weren't Mania related though, and had to do with a game I had never heard of, A Dance of Fire and Ice. I watched the video and I had no idea what was going on. The only conclusion I was able to draw from it was that it was essentially a memorization-based rhythm game that just looked kind of pretty and barely had any remote depth to it. I didn't understand the point of the angles, red and blue balls, nothing made sense to me. I pretty much held that opinion for a year straight, and even recently talked on my stream about how I would never even bother with this game since it just looked that uninteresting to me. But then recently, I decided to just say, why the hell not? Let's try it out. It was after just 5 minutes of playing I realized a year ago, I should have hit myself on the head, slapped myself in the face, and actually gave the game a try before I tried critiquing the damn thing. Because, man, this game's fantastic. A Dance of Fire and Ice is a rhythm game that visualizes rhythms in a way no rhythm game has ever done before. You utilize these two orbiting planets to finesse yourself through these twists and turns until you reach the very end. It's a very simple concept, but the degree they push this very notion to is simply outstanding. The game starts you off at the menu where you have a red and blue planet just spinning around the rectangle you're sitting on. A very simplistic 4/4 beat plays in the background, and the second you press any button or click on your mouse, you instantly realize that, oh, this is the game. This is what it's all about. It allows the player to understand what the game is without even having to throw you into a level yet. It also has a very easy to use calibration tool that helps tremendously so your inputs are represented accurately. World 1 starts out very innocuous with its introduction of the straight line, with its very basic fourth notes to show you how the game works in actual gameplay. 1-2 introduces the Z-bend, where you wait a fourth note to let the other planet come around into eighth notes. But S-bends are the opposite for when you approach it, you pull off the eighth notes right away. These are very basic concepts that can take you so far into the game, and the more patterns you learn, the more sense other patterns make down the line. You'll quickly learn that this game is a lot more grind heavy and strict than most rhythm games, since one notable mistake means you're out. This is one of those games, however, where failing can be one of the best parts, because that means you've most likely encountered something brand new. The differentiation in patterning used to visualize offbeat rhythms, 16th notes, 12th notes, all play fantastically. Triangles, hexagons, squares, very specifically angled platforms, everything in this game has a sole purpose and is executed beautifully. The game also adds in these effects that can speed up the BPM or slow down the BPM of the song. The snail brings you back for a second and goes back a quantization, while the bunny is pushing you further and speeding up the song. Or the swirl to turn the direction of the planets that can alter what's going to be coming up soon, or can be used to create a long sequence of notes when enough are used. All three of these are used to their fullest extent, and you'll realize how important they are not far into the game, as when used in combination, can create some of the most ingenious level designs. It's these ephemeral aha moments you keep having when you learn something new every single time in the game, and it just feels so rewarding. After you complete the first few levels of a world, you're faced with more or less the boss level, such as 1x, 2x. These maps take everything you've learned from the current world and previous worlds and combine it to test your fundamentals to the fullest extent. The backgrounds can range from gorgeous and majestical to intense and high octane, or they can be outright terrifying, pressuring your every move to defeat this awful demon rat thing that's just staring you down every move you make. The effects on top of that are added on to some of these are just so inherently fun as well, especially as you get into the later worlds. Jungle City has these green blocks that appear as you're playing. Classic Pursuit does the same thing, except on top of it, the UFO is now taking the blocks behind you up to its ship, and Heracles just blows you away with it, throwing everything it possibly can at you to intensify the gameplay as much as possible and to complement the very music behind it. As you progress in the game, you may notice that using just one key or clicking isn't exactly the most efficient way to play if that's what you've been doing. Thankfully, this game doesn't care what keys you're using. You can use 2 keys, 3 keys, hell, you can use the whole keyboard if you like. All it cares about is that you know how to play the core game, and it's probably the only game that can execute simultaneously liberating and flexible controls through a game that is very strict at its core. The soundtrack is fantastic too. The real standouts to me, in my opinion, were World 3's The Wind Up, that brings back this old Newgrounds era nostalgia to it. The Midnight Train is a very pretty track with its intricate rhythms that play beautifully in gameplay. Spin to Win is a very cute and orchestral electronic track. Jungle City is a swingy tropical banger, and Heracles just hits so hard the whole time. A great majority of this music avoids the hyper-electronica cliches that an abundance of rhythm games fall into, and I highly respect the developers for putting in so many songs that also have these intricate, offbeat rhythms that most rhythm games are too afraid to embrace into their musical library. And the ones that are more on the hyper side are tastefully done and paced throughout the game. Beating the first 6 worlds allows you to unlock what are called speed trials. The main goal is to beat the speed that the game originally sets for you, which are in increments of 0.1 times the original song speed, but you can go faster by pausing the game and selecting faster. It gives these worlds so much more content with this very addition alone, and I had a blast utilizing this option. Then you have these worlds above you with the symbols that teach you a few more unique patterns, bring their own challenges to the table, and have awesome effects on top of it. You're constantly learning new things about this game, and it's this never-ending fulfillment that just keeps on giving, and the music almost never disappoints on top of that. Despite saying that rate mods help offer more content, I still feel like there isn't enough original content, as it took me about 4 hours or so to get through all of the worlds, including the symbol ones at the top. I'd imagine these all took a lot of time and effort to create, but I wouldn't have minded if the developers took the extra time to provide a few more worlds. Maybe a new pack of worlds will be released in the future, but I wish there was a larger catalog in the main game for it to feel more fulfilling to complete. Menuing can also get tedious if you're trying to access later worlds a lot, until I found out through a comment online that you can go directly to the worlds by just pressing the number keys. I wish there was a bit more transparency with the access of such an important option, because I feel like a lot of people are genuinely not aware of a feature that can make the game so much more accessible from a user interface perspective. A Dance of Fire and Ice is a rhythm game for beginners, but is not a beginner's game. There's a great amount of detail and nuance with their ability to visualize patterns through various shapes and effects. It's a genuinely fun game that, while fairly strict and grind-based, it still brings a great amount of enjoyment due to how fun it is to learn new things in it. I know I probably haven't gotten even close to exploring this game to its full potential, but I'll definitely be keeping in touch with this game here and there, and if there's anything A Dance of Fire and Ice has taught me, it's that sometimes you need to play the damn thing before you say anything about it. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting the channel, and if you'd like to see more rhythm gaming content like this, feel free to check out my Patreon, drop a sub, and check out my other links below. I'll see you on whatever video I upload next, and take care.